Bill Gates, the man beyond the code. When the world first heard his name, he was just a coder. In his eyes, there was a burning belief that the entire planet would turn into a digital grid. He was Bill Gates. And he wasn't just a businessman. He was the architect of the 21st century. Today, his story is not just a success story. It is an epic shrouded in the shadow of ambition, ruthless competition, and, most importantly, an unknown desire for control. Billions of dollars, global health projects, and endless whispers circulating around his name. So, who was this man? The emperor of technology? Or a prophet rewriting the world's destiny with the codes in his hands? Tonight, we embark on a journey. From the smoky garages of the 1970s to the heart of the world's greatest conspiracy theories. The story begins in the late 1960s, in the damp basement of a privileged school in Seattle. Bill Gates was not just a student. He was a young man indifferent to social norms, consumed by his intelligence, living in a universe ruled by logic and mathematics. His toys were the bulky computer terminals rented by the school. And there, he met his partner in destiny, Paul Allen. They both shared the same dream. The dream that computers would one day sit on every desk. They weren't just writing programs. They were giving souls to machines. He even once tried to manipulate the school system to enroll in his favorite classes. This was not just a prank. It was the first evidence of Gates' competitive spirit and his ability to bend systems to his advantage. The year was 1975. While studying at the prestigious Harvard Law School, Gates saw a small computer on a magazine cover. The Altair 8800. In that moment, a lightning bolt struck Gates' mind. He knew then that code, not law or money, would become the world's most powerful language. He dropped out of Harvard, despite the concerns of his family and professors. Was it madness? No. It was the biggest gamble in history. Gates and Allen founded Microsoft in New Mexico. The name simply meant microcomputer software. But in Gates' mind, this name was the password to global domination. Their first job was to write a basic interpreter for the Altair. However, Gates harbored immense anger toward hobbyists who pirated software. He saw intellectual property as valuable as money itself. This was the first sign of Gates' future monopolistic tactics. He was the first to declare that software should not be free, but absolutely sold. And the world would listen to him. By 1980, Microsoft was a small player. But Bill Gates was always after the biggest fish. IBM. IBM wanted to enter the personal computer market and needed an operating system. When Gates went to meet with IBM executives, he didn't actually have an operating system of his own. But he possessed the most powerful weapon a genius can have. Gates convinced IBM to use a system called QDOS, Quick and Dirty Operating System, which he had purchased from Seattle Computer Products for $50,000. But the genius of Gates lay here. He included a clause in the contract to retain the license to QDOS himself. This was not a deal. It was a heist. IBM had only bought an operating system. Gates, however, held the key to the entire future personal computer market. QDOS would soon spread worldwide as MS-DOS. However, there was another genius at the peak. Steve Jobs. Jobs invented the graphical user interface, GUIs, with Apple's Mac. It was beautiful, intuitive, and revolutionary. When Jobs invited Gates to his office, Gates examined the Mac's interface with an unprecedented coolness. And then, Microsoft released Windows 1.0, an interface frighteningly similar to the Mac's. But in Gates' hands, it was more accessible. And, some would say, dirtier. Jobs was furious at this betrayal. Reportedly, Jobs yelled at Gates, "You're a thief. It's our invention." Gates' response summarized his character. "Steve, we both had a rich neighbor named Xerox. And I broke into his house before you did." This was not a battle over who used an idea first, but over who spread it across the world faster and more ruthlessly. In the 1990s, Windows would be in every home, every office, every school. Microsoft was the software monopoly. And Bill Gates had built his code empire. But this absolute power did not come without a price. In the late 1990s, the U.S. Department of Justice filed a colossal lawsuit against Microsoft, accusing it of monopolization. Gates, with an icy demeanor in the courtroom, denied the allegations that the company hindered competition. But the world now knew he wasn't just a genius. He was a ruler who crushed his rivals. The 2000s marked a turning point. Success, monopolization, and endless legal battles had exhausted Gates. It was as if the weight of all the code he had written was resting on his shoulders. His marriage and the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, which he established with Melinda Gates, changed the emperor's face. The focus shifted from computers to humanity's most fundamental problems. Malaria, AIDS, poverty, polio. Billions of dollars were being spent on global health. Was this a PR move? Or truly an atonement? While critics continued to question how Gates accumulated his wealth, the number of lives saved through vaccines and medical research was rapidly increasing. However, Gates was still a man of systems. Even while managing health projects, he demanded logistical excellence as if setting up an operating system. To him, disease was also a software error. And every error could be fixed. In 2008, Gates completely left his daily duties at Microsoft. An emperor was voluntarily abdicating his throne. But he did not just become a philanthropist. He also turned into a global alarmist. In 2015, in a TED Talk, he made a chilling prophecy. He said the biggest threat in the future would not be wars, but a global pandemic. We are not ready for the next epidemic, he had said. And the world did not listen to him. Just as they didn't believe in the future of the computer in the 1970s. When the pandemic hit, Gates' words from 2015 transformed him into a global prophet. But at the same time, they placed his face at the center of a conspiracy theory. Vaccines, identification, digital tattoos. Gates' face was suddenly portrayed not as a savior, but as a global control figure. The emperor of the technology world was now being accused of aspiring to microcontrol people's lives. Call it a conspiracy, or call it a genius's obsession with control. Gates' story is a striking testament to how absolute the power brought by technology can be. He earned billions by writing codes. Now, he is trying to rewrite the future of humanity using those billions. Bill Gates was not just a businessman. He was the man who understood systems, built systems, and controlled systems. His legacy is no longer in an office or an operating system. It continues to live in global issues that will determine all our destinies, such as climate change, artificial intelligence, and the next epidemic. Bill Gates' story is not over. He has only started writing a new code. And we are all waiting to see if that code will work.